KCTV5 is your school authority. Are teachers essential workers? If so, they would have to keep teaching even after being exposed to COVID. No quarantine unless they develop symptoms. KCTV5 investigative reporter Angie Racono is digging into your concerns about how schools will work this fall.
We all know teachers are essential. Schools couldn't run without them. But are they essential workers? Meaning, should they work through an exposure? Some school districts and health departments are considering that. Essential worker is one of those new terms. It gets thrown around a lot. We all know it applies to healthcare workers.
Not going to feel a thing.
Some nurses and doctors are exposed every day.
We're going to get an EKG.
If they quarantined every time they crossed paths with a positive patient, hospitals would shut down. The president labeled meatpacking plants as critical infrastructure.
My administration
and the White House has been pretty clear about schools.
It is our firm belief that our schools are essential places of business, if you will, that our teachers are essential personnel.
That statement may have reassured some parents, but it made hearts skip a beat in the education world, because if educators are classified as essential, here's what that means. The CDC advises that critical infrastructure workers may be permitted to continue work following potential exposure to COVID-19, provided they remain asymptomatic and additional precautions are implemented to protect them and the community. That's why doctors and nurses gear up and keep working. This also applies to 911 operators and other frontline emergency personnel and meatpacking plants. But should it apply to teachers?
For me, no. As essential as teachers are, we need to keep from exposing the students and having it spread. They're not trained to keep the disease from spreading if they are infected.
Dr. Rex Archer with Kansas City's health department says there's a big difference from a healthcare worker in PPE and a teacher in a cotton mask.
Essential means that you can't close it, and schools can be closed.
He also says, while no one likes to shut down a school, you can do that.
The Clay County Health Director had asked me about this.
And it sounds like you have a difference of opinion.
We're in discussion on this. I don't know that we have a difference of opinion at this point, no.
Okay, but it sounds like your position is you feel like, you could close the school. A teacher is not an essential worker, and that hasn't been shared across all the health departments quite yet.
I would agree that this is a wrinkle that we haven't dealt with at this point. To me, teachers are essential, but essential workers under saving lives under COVID, by that definition, it would not meet that from my perspective.
We spent a week trying to get clarification from Clay County. The director declined to do an in-person interview. We were eventually sent this statement. We will continue to follow CDC guidelines. Per those guidelines, teachers are not defined to be critical infrastructure workers. If a teacher is exposed to COVID-19, they will be required to follow standard CDC protocols, which is to quarantine. They would not be required to continue to work at that time. But many question how the goal of keeping schools open is even possible unless teachers are classified as essential workers. We reached out to more than a dozen school districts in both Missouri and Kansas to get some firm answers on who will be quarantining, how is it going to work for students and their siblings, and what about teachers. A lot of districts didn't even want to respond. They also told us their policies continue to evolve. So we will keep you posted. Reporting in Clay County, Angie Racono, KCTV5 News.